Dr. Alex Morgan stared at the alien signal patterns on his screen, his heart racing with excitement. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally found proof they weren't alone. The message from the Galactic Council was clear. They'd wanted to talk. "We need to prepare a response team," Alex said to the room of scientists and government officials. "This could change everything we know about our place in the universe." Within weeks, Earth assembled its first contact team. Alex led the scientific division, while Lisa Carter headed security. The team included linguists, biologists, and diplomats, all chosen for their exceptional skills. Lisa wasn't entirely convinced by the friendly tone of the alien messages. During a private meeting with Alex, she voiced her concerns. "Something feels off about these transmissions," she said, pointing to inconsistencies in the data. "The language is perfect, too perfect, like they've been studying us for years without our knowledge." Alex frowned. "That's concerning, but we can't pass up this opportunity. We'll just need to be extra cautious." When the Council's ship entered Earth's orbit, it was unlike anything humans had imagined. The vessel stretched nearly 5 miles long, its surface shimmering with an iridescent material unknown to Earth science. The alien representatives called themselves the Xarillians. They stood 7 feet tall with slender bodies and skin that shifted colors like living opals. Their spokesperson, Ambassador Vrel, greeted the humans with practiced English. "We welcome Earth to the greater galactic community," Vrel announced, extending 4 long fingers in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. "The Council has observed your civilization's progress with great interest." Over the next few days, the aliens shared glimpses of advanced technology, medical devices that could cure diseases, energy systems that made fossil fuels obsolete, and propulsion systems that could reach distant stars. "We propose a formal integration of Earth into the Council," Vrel stated during the 3rd day of talks. "As a gesture of goodwill, we invite your delegation to our central station to finalize the agreement." Most of the human team was ecstatic, but Lisa remained suspicious. While others prepared for the journey, she convinced Alex to help her access the aliens' computer systems. "We need to know exactly what we're walking into," she insisted. Late that night, they managed to decode a portion of the aliens' communications. What they found chilled them to the bone. "Resource acquisition plan proceeding as scheduled." Read one message. "Human resistance capabilities minimal. Commence extraction operations following formal surrender ceremony." Another message contained details about Earth's classification as a Type 3 resource world, with notes about optimal extraction of minerals, water, and biological samples. "They're not here for friendship," Alex whispered, hands shaking. "This is an invasion plan." Before they could warn the others, alarms blared throughout the facility. They had been discovered. "Run," Lisa shouted, pulling Alex toward an emergency exit as alien security forces converged on their position. They barely escaped the building before energy weapons scorched the ground where they had stood moments before. In the chaos, they became separated from most of the Earth delegation. 4 days later, as the remaining delegates prepared to board the alien vessel for the peace conference, Alex and Lisa managed to get a warning to Earth's defense forces. Only half the delegation heeded their warning. Those who traveled to the Council station never returned. Within hours, the first attacks began. Alien ships appeared over major cities worldwide. Ambassador Vrel's message played on all frequencies. "Earth will now provide resources for the greater good of the Galactic Council. Resistance is both futile and unnecessary. Your integration has already begun." As destruction rained down on unprepared cities, Alex and Lisa joined the hastily organized defense forces. They knew Earth's only chance would require every bit of knowledge they had gathered about their new enemy. The war for Earth had begun. The alien ships darkened Earth's skies like metal thunderclouds. Their weapons turned city blocks to ash in seconds. Commander John Ellis watched from the Pentagon's Emergency Command Center as screens showed destruction spreading across the globe. "We need to coordinate whatever we have left," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. Get me all military branches on the line now. Earth's defenses were woefully inadequate against the Council's technology. Fighter jets exploded before getting within firing range. Missile systems failed as alien countermeasures disabled their guidance systems. Ground forces found their communications jammed and vehicles disabled. From orbit, Admiral Zyrtak of the Council forces addressed Earth's population through hijacked broadcast channels. Your planet has been officially designated as Council Resource World C-3971, the alien announced. Resistance will result in increased casualties. Submit to processing teams for assignment to appropriate labor divisions. In Chicago, Kate Williams and Ryan Peters huddled in a basement as their neighborhood burned. Kate, a journalist before the invasion, documented everything with her camera. Their separating families, she whispered to Ryan as they peered through a small window. Anyone who resists is being executed on the spot. Ryan, formerly a network engineer, nodded grimly. We need to get this footage to someone who can use it. There must be organized resistance forming somewhere. Around the world, surviving government officials established secure communications and began coordinating. Within days, the Emergency Defense Coalition formed, bringing together military and civilian leadership from all nations under a single command structure. In a hidden facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Grant led a team analyzing captured alien technology. 3 days of non-stop work led to their first breakthrough. Their shield systems operate on a modulating frequency, she explained to the assembled military leaders. There's a pattern to it. If we can synchronize our attacks to hit precisely when the frequency shifts, we might penetrate their defenses. Commander Ellis nodded. That's the first good news I've heard since this started. How soon can we implement this? We need more testing, but days rather than weeks, Olivia replied. Meanwhile, Council forces established processing centers in captured territories. Humans were categorized based on physical capabilities and assigned to various labor groups. Some were sent to mines, others to agricultural processing, and some to research facilities, where they were studied rather than employed. Council species began arguing among themselves about resource allocation. The Carillions claimed priority over mineral deposits, while the insectoid Vesperi demanded control of biological harvesting. Their conflicts created gaps in security that survivors exploited. 2 weeks into the occupation, Earth transmitted a message of surrender on all channels. Council leaders celebrated their quick victory, not realizing the broadcast originated from a small resistance cell rather than the actual coalition leadership. They're getting complacent, Ellis told the Coalition Council during a secure meeting. Their patrols are becoming routine, predictable. They think we're beaten. Beneath the apparent surrender, Earth prepared. Factories hidden deep underground manufactured weapons incorporating Dr. Grant's discoveries. Resistance cells cataloged alien patrol patterns and supply routes. Military units regrouped and trained with new tactics designed specifically against Council forces. In orbit, alien ships reduced their alert status. Several larger vessels departed, heading back to Council space with the first shipments of Earth resources. Admiral Zyrtak reported to the Galactic Council that the human resistance had been crushed and the planet secured. The Council believed Earth was firmly under control. They didn't notice the small communications satellite that human engineers had modified with alien parts. They didn't detect the encrypted messages coordinating global resistance. They didn't realize that humans were learning, adapting, and preparing. Earth appeared broken, but beneath the surface, it was transforming into something the Galactic Council had never anticipated. A unified planet with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Marine Captain Daniel Moore moved silently through the ruins of what had once been Seattle. His team of 6 followed, each carrying weapons modified with parts salvaged from crashed alien ships. They approached the Council supply depot under cover of darkness. Remember, we hit the fuel cells first, then the communications array, Daniel whispered. No heroics. Plant the charges and get out. The resistance had grown from scattered survivors into an organized network. Each cell operated independently, but shared intelligence through encrypted channels. Daniel's team specialized in supply line disruption, weakening the aliens' hold one target at a time. 5 minutes later, the night sky lit up as the depot exploded. The team was already miles away, hidden in the underground tunnel system that had become humanity's secret highway. In a basement laboratory in the ruins of Boston, engineer Samantha Reich carefully disassembled an alien rifle. Her small team had become experts at repurposing Council technology for human use. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a component the size of a quarter. "Their power cells don't just store energy, they amplify it. If we can reverse engineer this, we could power our systems for months on what used to last days." Samantha's work had already yielded results. Resistance fighters now carried communication devices that could bypass alien jamming signals. Their weapons could penetrate light alien armor. Each small victory built towards something larger. Across Earth, Council forces continued their resource extraction operations. Massive machines stripped forests bare in hours. Mining equipment tore into mountains, extracting precious metals. Oceans were pumped for their mineral content, destroying marine ecosystems and flooding coastal communities. Millions of humans were forced to work in these operations. The aliens showed no concern for human safety or environmental damage. Earth was simply a resource to be consumed. "The rate of extraction is unacceptable," complained Vorlax, the Vesperi overseer, during a council meeting. "The Xyrillians are taking more than their allotted share." "Your species wastes time with inefficient harvesting methods," countered the Xyrillian representative. "We simply maximize our opportunity." As the council species argued among themselves, their attention to security details slipped. Resistance members posing as labor crews gathered critical information. They identified patterns in guard rotations, mapped facility layouts, and located weaknesses in the occupation force. In the Appalachian Mountains, a hidden human outpost received an unexpected visitor. A resistance scout brought in an alien, not as a prisoner, but as a defector. "Some council species disagree with this invasion," the creature explained in halting English. "My people, the Eridani, voted against attacking Earth. I can provide information about the council command structure." This intelligence proved invaluable. The Resistance learned that the council's central command ship remained in orbit around Earth, coordinating all occupation activities. They discovered the ship's defense protocols and communication frequencies. More importantly, they learned that not all alien species supported the invasion. Several council members had objected to the attack on Earth, but were overruled by the dominant factions. Underground, humans adapted and evolved. Council technology was studied, modified, and improved upon. Resistance fighters developed tactics specifically designed against alien physiology and equipment. What had begun as desperate survival gradually transformed into something more dangerous, a coordinated counteroffensive strategy. 6 months into the occupation, the aliens believed Earth was subdued. Production quotas were being met. Resistance attacks, while annoying, seemed disorganized and ineffective. Council reports described humans as adequately controlled. They didn't realize that each small raid, each piece of stolen technology, each bit of intelligence gathered was part of a larger plan. The Resistance wasn't just fighting back, they were preparing for something bigger. In a secure bunker beneath the Colorado mountains, Commander Ellis studied the latest intelligence reports and smiled for the first time in months. "We're ready," he said. "Tell all cells. Operation Nemesis begins in 3 days." Dr. Alex Morgan watched the Council transport ship through his binoculars from his hiding place in the mountains. After months of being presumed dead, he was about to make his most important contribution to humanity's survival. Transport approaching the jump point, he whispered into his communication device. "Team 2, are you in position?" "Ready and waiting," came the reply from Samantha Wright. Her engineering team had spent weeks preparing for this moment. The plan was daring but necessary. The transport carried high-ranking council officials between Earth and their orbital command center. To board it, Alex's team would need perfect timing and a bit of luck. As the ship descended for its routine maintenance stop, Samantha's team activated a device that mimicked the signature of a critical engine failure. The ship diverted to an emergency landing zone, directly into an ambush. Resistance fighters swarmed the landed vessel, disabled the crew with weapons designed specifically for each alien species' unique biology, and secured the ship within minutes. Alex hurried aboard and went straight to the navigation computer. "We have 15 minutes before they realize communication has been lost," he said, plugging in a device to copy the ship's data. "Get what we need and go." The device extracted the Council's complete navigational database, star charts, jump point coordinates, and most importantly, the access codes to travel through Council-controlled space without triggering alarms. Back at the Coalition's main underground facility, Earth's remaining scientists gathered around as Alex presented their prize. "With these codes, we can move undetected through their territory," he explained. "And this data shows the location of every Council outpost, supply depot, and military installation in this sector." In another section of the facility, Admiral Patricia Harrison supervised the construction of Earth's secret fleet. Hidden in abandoned mines, underwater caverns, and remote mountain valleys, humans have been building ships unlike anything seen before. "How's the integration of the alien drive systems coming along?" she asked a team of engineers. "Better than expected," one replied. "The hybrid design gives us capabilities even the Council doesn't have. They never thought to combine their technology with ours. They just assumed theirs was superior in every way." The fleet grew ship by ship, each vessel incorporating salvaged alien technology with human innovations. The ships were smaller than Council vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. Most importantly, they were completely unknown to the enemy. Meanwhile, resistance cells planted sleeper agents within the alien workforce. Humans who had earned positions of limited trust gathered intelligence and prepared sabotage points throughout Council operations. In the central planning room, Commander Ellis and Dr. Grant finalized Operation Nemesis, Earth's coordinated counterattack against the occupation forces. "The ground teams will strike these power distribution nodes simultaneously," Ellis explained, pointing to locations on a global map. "Space-based forces will target their orbital platforms and communication arrays. If the timing is perfect, we'll cripple their ability to coordinate a response." Dr. Grant nodded. "And my team has prepared electromagnetic pulse devices calibrated specifically to their systems. When triggered, they'll disable their weapons and shields without affecting our hybrid technology." The plan was complex but comprehensive. Every resistance cell had specific objectives. Every captured piece of alien technology would be turned against its creators. Every weakness identified would be exploited. 3 days before the planned attack, Council security forces captured a resistance courier carrying partial details of the operation. The Council's security chief presented the findings to Admiral Zyrtak. "The humans appear to be planning some sort of coordinated attack," the security chief reported. "However, their capabilities remain primitive. At most, this will be a minor inconvenience." Zyrtak dismissed the report with a wave of his hand. "Increase patrols in major extraction zones if you must, but don't disrupt operations. These humans lack the technology or organization to pose any real threat." As the Council forces continued their work, confident in their superiority, Earth made final preparations. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon, the occupiers would learn exactly what humans were capable of when fighting for survival. At exactly 300 hours Global Standard Time, Operation Nemesis began. Across the planet, resistance cells struck simultaneously. The darkness erupted with explosions as Council power stations, communication centers, and supply depots were hit without warning. In what remained of Chicago, Kate Williams and Ryan Peters led a team targeting the local alien headquarters. Their faces were grim but determined as they approached the building. "All teams, execute now," Kate ordered into her communicator. Around the building, hidden EMP devices activated. Alien systems failed instantly. The guards, suddenly without functioning weapons or communication devices, found themselves facing humans armed with hybrid weapons that remained operational. The battle was brief but fierce. Within 20 minutes, the Chicago team had secured the command center and the vital communication array it contained. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide. Council forces, accustomed to easy domination, were caught completely unprepared for the scope and coordination of the attack. Their superior technology, rendered useless by Dr. Grant's specialized EMP devices, no longer provided an advantage. Above Earth, Admiral Zyrtak received frantic reports from ground forces. "This is impossible," he snarled at his subordinates. "How could primitive humans coordinate a global assault of this magnitude?" Before his officers could respond, the orbital sensors detected new threats. From hidden bases on the far side of the moon, Earth's secret fleet emerged, led by Admiral Patricia Harrison aboard the flagship Defiance. "This is Admiral Harrison of the Earth Defense Fleet to all Council vessels," she transmitted on all frequencies. "Your ground forces have been neutralized. Surrender or be destroyed." The Council ships, larger and theoretically more powerful, moved to engage the human vessels. But as they opened fire, their weapons found no targets. The human ships, utilizing hybrid propulsion systems unknown to the Council, moved with unexpected speed and agility. The Council's tactical systems, designed to track conventional spacecraft, struggled to lock onto the Earth vessels. Meanwhile, the human ships fired weapons specifically calibrated to penetrate Council shields at their weakest frequencies. On the ground, Commander Ellis directed forces to reclaim major cities. In London, resistance fighters secured the alien governor's compound. In Beijing, the main resource processing center fell to human forces. Across Australia, mining operations were shut down as workers turned against their overseers. Within hours, Council ground forces were in full retreat, abandoning positions and equipment as they fled toward evacuation points. But Admiral Harrison's fleet had established a blockade, preventing reinforcements from landing and escapees from leaving. "The southern hemisphere is almost completely secure," reported an officer to Commander Ellis. "Northern regions report 70% of objectives achieved and advancing rapidly." Ellis nodded, allowing himself a brief moment of satisfaction. "And the Council leadership?" "Most were captured in the initial assault. Those who escaped are now trapped in isolated pockets with no communications or support." On the flagship of the Council fleet, Admiral Zyrtak watched in disbelief as his forces were systematically defeated by what he had considered an inferior species. When 3 more human vessels appeared directly behind his command ship, using Council jump codes to bypass their defenses, he finally understood the magnitude of his error. "How is this possible?" he demanded as human forces boarded his vessel. Admiral Harrison, entering the command bridge with armed troops, answered him directly. "You thought technology alone made you superior," she said, "but humans have something your Council never understood. We adapt, we learn, and when threatened, we unite." As Earth forces secured the Council's command ships, they gained access to complete databases of Council operations throughout the galaxy. The ships themselves were intact, their systems and technologies now available for human engineers to study and improve upon. By sunrise the next day, Earth had achieved what the Council had believed impossible. The occupation forces were defeated, their leaders captured, and their ships either destroyed or under human control. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth's remaining cities experienced something they had almost forgotten. Silence without the sound of alien machinery stripping their world bare. The battle for Earth was won, but the war was far from over. In the 3 weeks following Earth's liberation, humanity moved quickly from defense to offense. Admiral Harrison stood on the bridge of the captured Council flagship, now renamed Retribution, as it prepared to leave Earth's orbit. All systems operational. Jump drives at full capacity, reported her second-in-command. "The fleet is ready to proceed on your order." "Begin the jump sequence," Harrison commanded. "Target the Proxima supply hub." The Earth fleet, comprising 47 vessels of various sizes, vanished into jump space. The ships combined the best of human engineering with advanced Council technology. Most importantly, they carried the navigational codes Dr. Morgan had stolen, allowing them to move through Council-controlled space undetected. They emerged near Proxima Centauri, where the Council maintained a massive supply depot serving their operations in Earth's sector. The facility was completely unprepared for attack. "They have no defensive shields active," reported the tactical officer. "Their patrol vessels are in standard formation, weapons powered down." Harrison nodded. "Proceed as planned. Disable their communications first, then target propulsion systems on all ships. We want captures, not destruction." The battle lasted less than 30 minutes. Earth vessels disabled the defending ships before they could mount an effective response. Marines led by Captain Moore boarded the station, securing it with minimal casualties on either side. "The supply depot is ours," Moore reported. "We've captured intact shipping schedules, resource allocations, and tactical data for the entire sector." Back on Earth, Dr. Grant's team had developed something potentially more devastating than any weapon. In a secure laboratory, they demonstrated their creation to Commander Ellis. "We call it Blackout," Dr. Grant explained, pointing to code scrolling across multiple screens. "It's a specialized virus designed to infiltrate Council communication networks. Once deployed, it will systematically corrupt their navigation systems, disable automated defenses, and reveal the location of every Council vessel to our forces." Ellis studied the screens. "How soon can it be deployed?" "We'll upload it to the captured relay stations within 36 hours, Grant replied. "From there, it will spread throughout their network." While the Earth fleet targeted Council military assets, they also made contact with other species that had been subjugated or exploited by the Council. Many of these civilizations had suffered under Council rule for generations. On the planet Terralus, Ambassador Ryan Peters met with representatives of 12 different species. His message was simple: Earth was offering an alliance against their common oppressor. "For too long, the Council has taken what they wanted from our worlds," Peters told the assembled delegates. "They believed their technological advantage made them invincible. Earth has proven otherwise." One by one, representatives pledged their support. Some offered resources, others provided intelligence about Council operations in their systems. A coalition began to form, with Earth at its center. As the human offensive expanded, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. For the first time in centuries, they faced a genuine threat to their dominance. "These humans have captured or destroyed 23% of our military assets in the sector," reported the security administrator. "Their attacks are spreading to core systems. Multiple subject worlds have declared independence and joined their coalition." "How is this possible?" demanded the Council Premier. "They were a primitive species with minimal space capability. They adapted our own technology and improved upon it," came the reluctant answer. "And they're specifically targeting our economic infrastructure rather than engaging in direct confrontation, where our superior numbers would prevail." The Council's financial systems began to collapse as trade routes were disrupted and resource planets declared independence. Several Council member species, seeing the shifting balance of power, secretly reached out to Earth's representatives to negotiate separate peace terms. 2 months into the offensive, the Council received a direct communication from Admiral Harrison. Her message was broadcast simultaneously to all Council worlds and colonies. "The Galactic Council has 3 standard days to respond to our terms," she stated. "Immediate cessation of all hostilities, recognition of independence for Earth and all coalition worlds, and reparations for damages inflicted during your illegal occupations. If these terms are not met, the next phase of our campaign will begin." To emphasize her point, the transmission included footage of Earth's next-generation weapons being tested on an abandoned Council outpost. The facility was completely vaporized. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as the Earth delegation entered. Dr. Alex Morgan led the small group, followed by Admiral Harrison and representatives from 12 formerly subjugated worlds. The council members, once confident in their superiority, now watched with a mixture of fear and respect. "This session of the Galactic Council is called to order," announced the Premier, his voice lacking its usual authority. "We are here to formally recognize the sovereignty and independence of Earth and its allied worlds." 1 year had passed since Earth's liberation. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted dramatically. The Council, once the unchallenged ruler of thousands of worlds, had been forced to surrender nearly a third of its territory. "The terms of our agreement are non-negotiable," Dr. Morgan stated, his voice firm. "Earth and all coalition worlds will be recognized as fully independent. A demilitarized zone will be established along all borders. Council forces will withdraw completely from these regions within 30 standard days." The Premier nodded, unable to hide his discomfort. "These terms have been accepted. The treaty is prepared for final signatures." As the formal proceedings continued, Admiral Harrison studied the Council representatives. Some showed clear hatred, others resignation. A few seemed almost relieved, as if the Council's downfall had been long overdue. Outside the chamber, Captain Daniel Moore commanded the honor guard of Earth Marines and allied species. What had begun as a desperate resistance on Earth had evolved into a peacekeeping force responsible for maintaining stability across former Council territories. "Strange to be standing here, isn't it?" his second-in-command commented quietly. "A year ago, we were hiding in tunnels beneath Seattle." Daniel nodded. "And now we're helping write the rules for half the galaxy." Across former Council space, the effects of Earth's victory were still unfolding. Council member species faced internal revolutions as citizens learned the truth about their leadership's actions. Several governments had already fallen, replaced by more democratic systems inspired by Earth's example. Economic sanctions imposed by the new coalition crippled the remaining Council worlds. Without access to resources from subjugated planets, their economies faltered. Many once wealthy Council worlds now faced shortages of basic necessities. Back on Earth, reconstruction continued. Cities damaged during the occupation were being rebuilt. Council mining equipment had been repurposed for clean, efficient resource gathering that respected the environment. The technological knowledge gained from the Council elevated human capabilities beyond what would have taken centuries to develop independently. As the treaty signing concluded, Dr. Morgan stepped forward once more. "Today marks not just the end of a conflict, but the beginning of a new approach to galactic relations," he announced. "Earth will lead the establishment of the Galactic Cooperative, founded on principles of mutual respect and shared advancement." The new cooperative would function differently from the Council. All member worlds would have equal representation. Technology and resources would be shared rather than exploited. Military forces would serve protective rather than conquering purposes. The cooperative's first act will be to establish humanitarian aid for all worlds damaged by Council exploitation, Morgan continued, including current Council worlds whose citizens had no voice in their government's actions. This announcement caused murmurs among the Council representatives. They had expected punishment, not assistance. After the ceremony, Lisa Carter, now Earth's security director, joined Morgan as they walked through the enormous station that had once been the Council's seat of power. "Do you think it will work?" she asked. "Building something better than what they had." Morgan watched as humans worked alongside aliens from dozens of species, all focused on transforming the station into the cooperative's headquarters. "It has to," he replied. "We didn't fight just to become the new oppressors. The galaxy needs something better than the Council's exploitation or endless war." 1 month later, representatives from over 200 worlds gathered for the first assembly of the Galactic Cooperative. Species that had been enemies for generations now sat together as equals. Former Council worlds, freed from oppressive regimes, sent their first democratically elected delegates. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater planet, now stood at the center of this new galactic order. Humans were valued for the very traits the Council had dismissed: adaptability, creativity, and determination. As Dr. Morgan addressed the historic first session, he thought about how far they had come from those first devastating days of the invasion.